Caracas, Venezuela, September 10, 2025. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has launched a strong call for an overhaul of the country's national football team, Vinotinto, after a crushing 6-3 defeat against Colombia ended Venezuela's hopes of advancing in the World Cup qualifiers. In a televised national broadcast the day after the match, Maduro struck a somber yet determined tone, acknowledging the deep disappointment felt across the country while urging immediate structural reforms within the team and its management. His remarks, which blended empathy with sharp criticism, reflect not just frustration over a football loss, but the symbolic weight of the sport in Venezuela's national identity. For a nation where football has increasingly become a source of unity and pride, the result against Colombia was a bitter pill to swallow. Venezuela's national team has long struggled to secure a place among the giants of South American football, but recent years had brought renewed hope. That hope, however, was shaken dramatically in the high-scoring loss that Maduro described as nothing short of heartbreaking. Standing before the cameras, Maduro addressed both the players and the millions of Venezuelans who followed the game. Yesterday, we suffered a painful defeat. My solidarity is with the footballers of Vinotinto national team and with the entire football movement, boys and girls who love football in the country. There are thousands and thousands of them. Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela, said. The president's words carried both consolation and a reminder that the sport's impact stretches far beyond the field. By directly addressing the boys and girls who play and watch football across the country, Maduro sought to reassure Venezuelans that their passion was shared at the highest level of leadership. But Maduro did not stop at empathy. He quickly pivoted toward a demand for sweeping changes to the structure, leadership and philosophy of the national team. His remarks signaled that the disappointment was not merely about one match, but about systemic shortcomings that needed correction. Venezuela demands a restructuring of everything, from the technical supervision of Vinotinto, a reorganization of the strategy, the doctrine and the line of combat and work of Vinotinto, Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela, said. This declaration marked one of the most direct interventions by a Venezuelan leader into the affairs of the national football establishment. While government figures have often celebrated the team in moments of triumph, Maduro's remarks suggested an intention to press for direct accountability from coaches, management, and the broader sporting institutions that guide Vinotinto. The president further sought to position himself as a spokesperson for the Venezuelan public. He emphasized that his demands were not personal, but rooted in the collective frustration and aspirations of millions who see football as both escape and identity. I speak for millions of children, young people, and all the people. We have what it takes to compete, to succeed, and to win, so we must correct what needs to be corrected and raise our heads, Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela, said. By framing his remarks in this way, Maduro underscored the importance of football as more than sport. It is a stage for Venezuela to assert itself internationally. His insistence that the nation has what it takes to win was both a reassurance and a challenge, demanding resilience and reform in equal measure. The reaction across the country mirrored the intensity of Maduro's address. Fans flooded social media with anger, disappointment, and, in some cases, demands for the resignation of key football officials. The defeat was not merely about goals conceded, it was viewed as a symbol of unfulfilled potential, poor management, and the long-standing struggles of Venezuelan football institutions to rise above mediocrity. Some commentators welcomed Maduro's intervention, arguing that his words echoed the sentiments of ordinary citizens who had long called for new leadership within the federation. Others, however, cautioned against excessive politicization of football, warning that government involvement could undermine the autonomy needed to rebuild effectively. Sports analysts also noted that while restructuring may be necessary, it requires more than rhetoric. Investment in youth academies, modern training facilities, international exposure, and a long-term vision are crucial for any meaningful transformation of Vinotinto. The timing of Maduro's speech, delivered so soon after the loss, highlighted the urgency he felt to address a grieving nation. Football, after all, is not simply a sport in Venezuela. In a country often polarized politically and strained economically, the national team serves as a rare unifying force. Vinotinto's journey in recent years had offered glimmers of hope. Young talent was emerging, and fans were beginning to believe that qualifying for future World Cups was within reach. The heavy loss to Colombia, however, not only dented those dreams, but also exposed vulnerabilities in tactics, leadership, and mental preparation. Maduro's framing of the issue, speaking of doctrine, strategy, and even a line of combat, reflected the militarized language often present in his political discourse. For him, football was not just about winning games, but about projecting national strength and determination. Following Maduro's speech, all eyes turned to the Venezuelan Football Federation, FVF, the body tasked with overseeing the national team. Officials remained largely silent in the immediate aftermath, though sources close to the organisation acknowledged that pressure was mounting for significant changes in both coaching staff and technical planning. The central challenge, experts say, lies in translating political calls for restructuring into practical reforms. The FVF has historically struggled with resource shortages, administrative disputes, and lack of long-term planning. To meet the president's expectations, it will need to address not only the immediate aftermath of the Colombia defeat, but also deeper issues such as youth development and international competitiveness. Players, too, now find themselves under a brighter spotlight. While Maduro expressed solidarity, his insistence on correcting errors suggests that future performances will be judged not just on effort, but on results. For many members of La Vinotinto, the loss against Colombia could mark a turning point in their careers. Maduro's remarks also illustrate how sports, and particularly football, often serve as proxies for national pride and resilience in Latin America. Similar to how Brazilian, Argentine or Colombian leaders have historically tied their political narratives to footballing triumphs or failures, Venezuela's president has now linked his leadership voice to the fate of La Vinotinto. For a government facing numerous domestic challenges, from economic struggles to international pressures, football provides a stage to rally the population around a common cause. By calling for restructuring, Maduro is not only addressing the technical flaws of the team, but also projecting himself as a leader willing to voice public frustration and demand accountability. As Venezuela reflects on its crushing defeat against Colombia, the president's words resonate across the nation. His message was clear: solidarity with the players, acknowledgement of the people's pain, and an urgent call for structural reform. Whether these calls lead to genuine change or fade into symbolic rhetoric remains to be seen. What is certain is that football remains deeply intertwined with Venezuela's sense of identity and collective spirit. In moments of victory, it uplifts the nation. In moments of defeat, it exposes the fragility of its dreams, but also its determination to rise again. And in this moment, as President Nicolás Maduro declared in front of his people, "Yesterday we suffered a painful defeat, but we must correct what needs to be corrected and raise our heads." Yesterday, we suffered a painful defeat. My solidarity is with the footballers of La Vinotinto national team and with the entire football movement, boys and girls who love football in the country. There are thousands and thousands of them. Venezuela demands a restructuring of everything from the technical supervision of Vinotinto, a reorganization of the strategy, the doctrine, and the line of combat and work of Vinotinto. Venezuela all demands a restructuring of the technical core of wine, a reorganization of the strategy, the doctrine, and the line of combat and work of wine. I speak for millions of children, young people, and all the people. We have what it takes to compete, to succeed, and to win. So we must correct what needs to be corrected and raise our heads.
Así que hay que corregir lo que haya que corregir y levantar la cabeza.